people don't like to acknowledge themselves as carers. So I never saw myself as a carer till later in the phase, because I was like, nah, I'm just looking after mum. You know, like, I'm not a carer, I'm just doing what a daughter would do. But then when you start filling out the forms at the hospital and things, you're like, oh yeah, I've got to tick, I'm the carer.
You have entered the bathroom.
I did not know where you were going.
I didn't know either. I just started yakking. My name's Daddo. This is my wife, Elle.
Hello.
And you've hit our podcast, Separate Bathrooms, and we are so grateful to have your company.
Indeed. We have a really wonderful person coming into our bathroom. No, she's not bringing her partner with her, but she's bringing something really special. Her name is Emma Madsen, and in her mid-20s, Emma found herself as a first-time mum, wife, holding down a job and caring for her best friend who happened to be her mum.
Yep. Her mum was battling a GBM stage 4 brain tumour. She died 16 months after diagnosis. And from her experience, Emma created the Carers Club. She says, the club is what I wish I had when I was a carer for my mum, Gillian, where I could express all of my struggles, my fears, my triumphs with people who understood.
On the website it says, the Carers Club is a space for everyone. Our community is built on connection, candour and compassion. It doesn't matter what your story is. So let's hear about what Emma's story is. Welcome to the bathroom, Emma Madsen.
Welcome, Emma, to the bathroom. How are you?
Good, thanks. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be in the bathroom.
Yeah. You're in sunny Queensland.
Yes, I am, on the sunny coast in Coolum Beach. Paradise.
Fantastic. Emma, you have created something called the Carers Club, which is why we really wanted to talk to you about this, because it's an unusual club. And how long has it been in operation now? And tell us all about it.
Yeah, sure. So it's a club that no one really wants to be in, but once you're in it, you definitely want to find people that are in similar situations as you. So it's been just like a little social media page for a bit, but I took it seriously and quit the day job and everything end of last year and started doing it properly. So it's been a few months, nearly 6 months. So what I do is, so I'm a bereaved carer. I was my mum's carer nearly 8 years ago before she died of brain cancer. And at the time, I was in my mid-20s, first-time mum, and just felt so isolated. None of my friends have been through a similar experience, and we kind of fell through the cracks a bit with support, because my mum was quite young. She was 50 years old, and so then we couldn't get a lot of like the dementia sort of older people support, and then carers for caring, and then I was too old to be considered a young carer. So I was just kind of in this big abyss by myself. And so the idea of the Carers Club came from that, and just being like, if I can help one or two people feel like there's people that get them. So the whole idea is a space to feel seen, heard and understood. Yeah. Because as much as friends are awesome, it's really nice to have someone with a similar lived experience.
Yes.
So I do face-to-face and in online circles. So that's when we gather. We do some sharing, and then I usually get a special person in to do like Reiki or massage or like anything. We've had like home organizers or anything just to come in and share. And the reason I wanted to do it in a bit more of that kind of pseudo hippie sort of style was because it takes it away from the hospital. It takes it away from everything felt really cold and clinical, like, and so I was trying to bring that warmth back in. And then I also do one-on-one support with carers. The idea came to me because when I had my third child, I had a doula. And I was like, carers need doulas. They need someone who isn't actually in the medical profession, but is their support person. So I do that kind of work for carers, and that varies from house stuff to emotional support to relaxation, journaling, all sorts. And that's what we do.
So it's caring for the carers.
Exactly. That's 100% what it is, because as much as we love our loved ones that are facing challenges, carers often don't have support for themselves, and because they're usually empaths and people pleasers and busy, They don't accept the help either. So it's
Mm.
Right.
about breaking down those taboos and being a bit more vulnerable. And it just started. My original plan was just adults in my similar situation, but then it's grown to like parents with kids with special high needs. It's grown from
Yep.
people looking after their spouses. So it doesn't really matter the situation. It just matters that, I mean, we're all pretty much carers in one way or another, really.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
also for bereaved carers. So after my mum passed, there was a whole big discovery of like, now what? Your whole life has been looking after this person. You had to stop work because you had to be her full-time carer. Now they're gone, and that's a really tough time to navigate and keep on going after you've been in an intense caring role. So we cover
Right.
both of those sides. Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing.
It's such an
Thank you.
incredibly
I was going to say
kind
thing to do.
thing to do. Has it
Mm.
taken a toll on your health at all when you do those one-on-ones with the carers? Is that something that really draws from your energy well, or how do you cope? Because you're
Yeah.
a carer of a carer. Do you need a carer as well?
Well, I don't think I could have done this straight after I lost mum. I think I'm further enough
Yeah.
removed now, but also I'm getting lots better at what I tell my carers and is boundaries, self-care,
Right.
filling up that cup. That's also why on circles we do things with Reiki and meditation and things, because it's about filling that energy back up again. Yeah, I'm the kind of person where it's like some people go, "How do you do it?" But I'm the kind of person like I can't not do it. It's just who I am.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's like when
That's who
mum
you
got
are.
sick,
Yeah.
it was like there's no way I wasn't going to be her carer. It's not like someone like tapped me on the
Yeah.
head and said it's you.
Yeah.
It was just going to happen. But yeah, it can get draining, but it's so rewarding. I wouldn't want to do anything
Yeah.
else. Yeah, it fills me up way more than it drains. Yeah.
So how many club members do you think you have at the moment?
So we have a private closed Facebook group, which is free to join if anyone wants to join. And that's around about 250 people at the moment.
Okay.
So we're just still in growth sort of phase, but it's really beautiful in there. Everyone's really kind and lovely and supportive, and we share our weekly wins and downs, and it's
Mm.
beautiful. And then I cap the circles at 10 in a circle, and I do about 3 a month.
Just as a question,
Yeah.
why do you cap them at 10?
Just to keep it intimate, and because we share and stuff, we don't want it to get too big where so the idea is just to do more circles than to have bigger
Yeah.
circles.
Yeah.
Because people are opening up, and you've got to, it can be a bit overwhelming, I think, if you make it too big
Yeah.
for people. Yeah.
Is confidentiality a part of it?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So we
Mm.
have 3 agreements, and at every beginning of a circle or a session or even my one-on-one work, I'm bound by duty of care. So I'm
Yep.
actually, my background is comms, PR, marketing, but I'm actually I've got retraining in community services, and so I'm learning all of the legalities and stuff. And what I say is, what happens in circle stays in circle. But I have a duty to care to report if I feel like there's any risk of harm, and I will do so. But otherwise, nothing else is repeated. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And I saw that I was reading that on your website, and you said that no advice is given unless you ask for advice, which I loved that as well. It's really about holding that space for just people to share their story and just have that safe environment.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I don't know how many carers, it happens to all of us. It doesn't matter the diagnosis, but every day someone's going to be telling you, "Oh, try this herb," or "Have you tried
Yeah.
this?" And you're like, we have our professionals. We've been through this journey. The last thing I need is to come to this support group and then be told to try something new that I haven't already thought about, or
Yeah.
it's just about them to feel seen and to be able to vent in a safe space. I have carers who are like, "My husband's just sick of hearing about it. I just want you to just listen to me while I just vent." And and then when someone shares, they say, so we know they're finished, they say, "These are my words," and we all say back, "We hear your words, so we see you." Because a big thing about
Yeah.
being a carer is you can feel really isolated from everyday life. Like I remember driving mum to emergency again and then seeing everyone else on the street in cafes, going to work, and you just kind of feel like, "Oh, what about me? I'm over here."
Yeah.
So it's a
Yeah.
very important and empowering to be heard.
what was your life like at the time? Were you married?
Yeah, so married, still to the same guy. I was like, I was listening to your other one going, can I change my partner? It was a funny episode. So, no, he's amazing. He's the best guy ever. So I was on mat leave with my first child, about to go back to work. My mum and I were best friends. We're living in the same town, just a few streets away, much to my husband's. No, he loved it. It was awesome. And then it was just like our world just flipped in one moment. She was quite healthy, she was quite active, she really loved hiking and stuff, and she kept getting migraines. And this is interesting with your perimenopause stuff. People kept diagnosing her as perimenopause because she kept getting headaches.
Interesting.
And so she finally demanded a scan because the hormone replacement obviously wasn't working, and they found a massive GBM stage 4 tumour.
Yeah.
So we rushed up from Canberra to Sydney to see Dr. Assad, he has a surgeon at Royal North Shore, and then it all just began, and our whole world's just changed. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And how did it impact your relationship?
With Nathan, on my husband,
Yeah.
I think he was just so solid, and I mean, he had to deal with my anxiety and depression coming through all that. We had a little boy, and by the time Mum died, I actually had a newborn, so we're actually in hospital at the same time. She was in palliative care and I was birthing. So it was a crazy, weird time. She
That's
held
the
on to
cycle
me.
of life.
Yeah, it was just very confronting.
Hmm.
But what we did was, because he's such a reliable and great guy, is we just created a schedule where my child was in a couple of days daycare, and those days I was in Sydney with Mum, and then when she was having her radiation and things, and then I'll drive back down the freeway to Canberra. I'd look after my kid for 2-3 days, and then I'd go back up again on the weekend. And we did that for months. Until she had got through the surgery, the first surgery, the radiation, then she came home and I cared for her in Canberra. But yeah, he's just a legend. He's just the best. It's funny, people look at us and they think, oh, we're not very lovey-dovey kind of couple. And he's a bit quiet and stuff, but then there's no denying that love. You know, Mum didn't want any palliative care support in the house because she was in big denial. And so he was the one, creating the ramps so she could get into the house. And he was the one installing the handrails in the bathroom so she could pull herself out. And, he's just a very practical guy who shows his love through action. That's his love language.
Yeah, a lot of dudes do that. Maybe not the huggy thing, but what do you need? And
very practical.
Let me build this for
had
you.
the meals sorted, that kind of thing. Yeah.
Within your, I mean, obviously you're not going to be sharing anyone's intimate details, but have you found that within those circles of the carers club that relationships are usually heavily impacted during this time when they're caring for others?
Oh, massively. There's a high divorce rate amongst carers because it's just such a stressful time from all elements. So you've got the emotional, but then you've got the financial, which is just huge. Like, we were lucky that I was able to access my mum's death insurance. So then I was able to stop working to look after her. But not everyone has that option, and that's not always the case, So that puts pressure on everyone. When there's not a diagnosis, the families are looking for years trying to figure out what's going on with their child, perhaps. That is so stressful. So you really sort of say 50-50 I've seen so far, where it's like the couples that for whatever reason it just was too much. Or maybe there was something there anyway and the foundations weren't strong, But then you see these most incredible, awe-inspiring couples who've just had the whole everything you could think of that's been thrown at them, and they just come through stronger, and it just bonds them even more. So it's a bit of a mix, but definitely there's no way you could go through something like that and not have some sort of impact.
Yeah. Emma, you were talking about someone not accepting help, people pleasers not accepting the help. How do you help people who are in this caring situation? How do you help them to accept donations or love or whatever it is? How do you do that?
I found the best angle is to go with, well, if you fall over, what then? And then they're organized and they're motivated to look after themselves because they know if they're the one that goes down, then the whole family collapses. that is usually a way of like convincing them, like that basic thing we hear all the time: fill up your own cup. You can't pull from an empty one. I didn't do it enough. I really suffered afterwards. I didn't look after myself. I had amazing support from friends, but I really should have done more, which is why I created this for others. But yeah, that's the only way you can really do it. And the other thing is sometimes you just show up with the support, which is even the best thing. Like if you've got really close friends that are going through something, you don't wait to be asked, just help. And don't go quiet. That's the worst, when people go like radio silence. Send the message, but then give them options because they feel overwhelmed. The carer feels overwhelmed. And instead go say, okay, I can either bring a meal over for Tuesday, or do you want me to take your dog for a walk on Wednesday morning? Which one do you choose? Because I'm going to do one. And then they can go, yeah, I picked that. Yeah. And there's also now, which is amazing, these apps now that where you can put all the things that you need, and then people can log on and then assign themselves to them. Right. So that's pretty cool too. There's a few different websites you can do that. And you can have like the meal schedule, so you don't rock up with everyone giving you a meal on the same day. And you can put things like take the bins out, take the dog for a walk, So that's really cool.
Did you come up with all that stuff, or have you had help to do that sort of thing?
No, I don't have the platform, but the platforms exist. There's a few different ones now.
So good.
Yeah, no, it's really lovely. I think it started, I feel like there was a lot of that was happening in COVID too, because people were so isolated, particularly the elderly and the people that couldn't get around. And so they were using these apps, and people were able to drop food or bring them medicine and stuff like that. So it's
fantastic, because then you go, oh, it's garbage night on Wednesday night. Okay, I'll be around there. I'll be around there to do the Wednesday thing, whatever, just maintenance stuff that you can help. I think it's fantastic.
Yeah, no, it's amazing.
I never knew that. It's great.
We had a couple on the show and who had lost a baby to SIDS when the baby was 8 months old, and they talked a lot about that how difficult that radio silence was. And I understand it, death and that sort of thing and trauma like that can be very alarming for people, and they don't know what to say, so they don't say anything at all. And that is the worst thing for, close friends that people just didn't hear of. What do we say to carers? What are the words that we use that you found was really helpful, or that you suggest people say?
It's just even admitting that and just being like, look, I don't know what to say, but I am here. And if you want to talk about it, let's talk about it. If you don't want to talk about it, let's not talk about it. And giving it back, and just also sending a text message saying, you don't need to respond, just let you know I'm thinking of you. And that takes the pressure of the person in deep grief to actually physically respond, but they still get the thought that you're there, which is so powerful. And also use the loved one or the lost, the past one's name, because they're desperate to talk about them. So the best thing you can do is like talk about a memory, or like something about them, or, that just normalizes it more and makes it feel like it's not so taboo anymore. That's the best thing you can do. And just, don't go silent. I know people are meanwhile and they're fearful of saying the wrong thing, but I think sometimes you do more damage by not saying anything.
Just that thought of owning, I don't know what to say to you. I'm plugging that into the equation of a friend of mine's father passed away not that long ago. And he was always so kind to me. I loved him, and I knew he loved his roses, and I just really liked him. But when I spoke to my friend about it, I didn't want to be that philosophy guy, and I was like,
he's in a better place and all that kind of stuff.
I didn't say any of that. I didn't want to be that guy. But I ended up saying to him, I don't know what to say. And it opened, and it actually worked. I don't know what to say to you right now. I know I'm so sorry your dad passed away. I don't know what to say to you. And that left him and me with, it was just sort of a moment. And he's like, just the fact that you're calling is really great.
Exactly. You did the perfect thing. And then maybe at some point, if you see roses or something that remind him of his dad, just send him a text with a photo saying, check these out, your dad would have loved these. Or plant like a rose in your backyard and say, this is your dad's rose bush we put in the backyard. Like, my mum was super close with a lot of my girlfriends and things, and she was like the second mum. Some of them lived, we had that kind of house where it was like everyone came to our house, and when she passed, I gave a few things away to friends. And one of my friends has got a bird bath from my mum in her backyard, and she's moved a few houses, and she always takes it with her. And she always says, I always took your mum out in the back of the garden, and it's just so lovely. It's so yeah, you did the perfect thing.
That other people share the memory of the person that you lost. So Emma,
memories.
you're an only child?
No, I've got an older brother and little sister. But it was just, I guess I just took on that role in the family.
Okay. Yeah. Were you always an empathetic child?
Extremely.
Right. Okay.
To the point of getting what people used to say back in the 80s and 90s to their kids, but don't anymore, hopefully. You're so sensitive. You're too sensitive, you know? So, yes, definitely. And that's been a journey for me to learn where my boundaries are, and that you can't help everyone, but you can help some people, you know?
Just getting a little political now.
Yeah.
Does the government do enough for people like yourself and members in the club when it comes to support?
No.
But what would you like to see? Because this is your platform, you know?
Yes.
You say you don't have a platform, you actually do.
Improved, because when I was my mum's carer, there was no carer gateway. I'm not sure if people know about carer gateway, but now that's the government program that's been rolled out where carers can access more support. I think they do online telehealth, and there are a lot of non-for-profits and things, but no, it's not enough. Well, this is what I would say. So I went looking to find out what is each government's carers platform, because I want to know who to vote for, and I can't even find their information. I can find the NDIS, which impacts carers, of course, but I can't actually find any info on what they're going to do for carers. So if anyone can tell me, go ahead, send it to me. I don't think it's even discussed. I've been listening to some of the, campaigning, and I haven't even heard carers really be mentioned. So yes, definitely not enough.
But it's funny because, no, I wouldn't have thought of it either. And it's just not, unless you've been in the situation that you have, and obviously, well, we're all going to be in situation at some point where we need to care for someone. Part of what our, one of my great moments in our marriage was when Elle had to go through a procedure to basically abort a child. And I got to care for her in a way that I'd never had, and it galvanized our relationship in a way that nothing really, we'd been through a lot, but this one really, really brought us together. And it was really, I saw it as, this is my opportunity to step up and care for Elle. And I guess we're in the human experience together. We're all going to find a time where we have to care for someone. But if I'm a government dude, or in there, it's just not in my realm of thought. So here you are with your carers club. This is an opportunity, a great opportunity, particularly at this time, to bring it to light, because clearly there's things that need to happen.
Yeah, definitely. So a few things there is, like, I totally relate to what you said about Elle and caring for her. There's nothing that brings more meaning and more love and more like rawness of life than being in a situation of caring. But from the political side, definitely things like making work rules, regulations to accommodate carers. So many carers have to quit their jobs because they can't, the system doesn't work for them, and a lot of like women, because it tends to be women, not always, but it tends to be women that might step back and say, okay, I'll stop working to look after our child or whatever. That impacts on all the super issues and all that sort of stuff. But also the identity for women and men in that situation, where I have people that are like, I don't know who I am anymore. I used to be like the head of like a high up organization. I used to be running a big show. I have all these qualifications, and now my kids can't even remember me going to an office.
Right.
And it's like, these are just everyday people that also have dreams and also have mortgages to pay. And so if we can get around getting some more support for carers, then they're enabled to give back to the economy again and all that sort of stuff. So I think it's also because people don't like to acknowledge themselves as carers. So I never saw myself as a carer till later in the phase, because I was like, nah, I'm just looking after mum. You know, like, I'm not a carer. I'm just doing what a daughter would do. But then when you start filling out the forms at the hospital and things, you're like, oh, yeah, I've got to tick, I'm the carer. And then there's a big, which let's go back to an identity, is like a lot of people are carers and don't recognize themselves as carers because they also think, oh, they've got it worse than me. I only help out twice a week or something. It's like, you're still a carer. It's a spectrum. You're still able to get help, you know?
This is great. It's a really important information. And like I said, most of us are walking around oblivious to what you're talking about.
Yeah.
But everything you've raised is absolutely valid and it needs to be raised. So thank you.
Oh, my pleasure.
Is there I would imagine that most people would want to, you know, those people who are with a terminal illness would want to die at home. Is there enough palliative care for those people to do that, or is that also a struggle that carers go through?
It's super tricky. So my mum wanted to pass at home, but then it depends on the situation, because palliative care nurses are like angels on earth, just amazing people. But what happens depends on the situation is that, do you have the equipment set up at your house? So mum, at the phase, they put her on so she became immobile, and they had like so you can hire stuff from the palliative care, and they bring the like the mattresses that move up and down so you don't get bed sores and things. But it got to a point where we started to use pulleys and things like that to maneuver her and keep her clean. And you can't do that at home. You need that in the centres. But no, at the time I remember in Canberra, it was a real struggle to get her into the palliative care cottage, which was beautiful. So I don't think there was enough beds and was enough support. And it's really sad. A lot of people end up not having the deaths that they want, or but I feel like it's probably changing a bit more, and that dying at home is becoming more common if they can accommodate the situation.
Right.
But yeah, you could definitely get palliative care nurses coming 24 hours and set up the bed nicely and all that sort of stuff. It just depends what's going on.
Yeah.
It's a pretty tricky time. I was having a conversation with a guy the other day whose one of his parents is in a old age care facility, and he just said it's so hard trying to get a spot. One, because he was critical of the criteria. He goes, my parent is not as needy. They want more needy people in there so they can charge more for all these different services that come up. And my parents just is pretty normal, just old, and needs to be in a care facility, but they don't want them because they're not needy enough and they don't make enough money out of them. So it feels like that there's a lot of work to be done.
Oh, huge. And whether it's societal too, like, I don't know, in some other cultures, aged care centers aren't really a big thing because they stay in the home. You have intergenerational living, you know, but in our society, we're not set up like that. So, and it's a real, and people want, and then, flip side is like people want to be able to do that, but they can't because they don't have the resources or they have to go to work or it's not safe to leave them. Yeah, it's a big, big problem.
Absolutely. Yeah. Emma, your Carers Club, it is available, like if someone is I know that you're in Queensland, but if someone is in Tasmania or anywhere in Australia, they can access the Carers Club. Is that right?
Absolutely. Nationwide, anytime. Yeah. So everything can be done online. So we have online circles, which is really cool because it's a bit better now that daylight savings ended with like the timing. But we do online circles. We have people from Sydney, South Australia, Melbourne, everywhere, and also even just locals from Queensland who it's hard for them to get out of their home. So I needed an online option because if they're the carer, often they can't leave the house to go somewhere. And then and I can also offer my one-on-one services over Zoom and stuff. That's not a problem.
Fantastic. Emma, you are amazing. Your husband is
Oh,
a lucky
no.
guy. I'm
I
sure.
do tell him that, though.
Yeah.
You should.
We'll
need-
tell
Make sure
him
you
that.
don't
You
cut that out. Don't make sure you don't cut that bit out.
Give us his number. We're going to make sure he knows. But
Yeah,
look, honestly, he sounds like a lovely, lovely fellow. The
Yeah,
fact that
absolutely.
he supported you so beautifully and you're still together. And you know, this podcast is about relationships, and hearing that is just so heartwarming. And I know not everyone has that, but there is the Carers Club. There is the Carers Club. I think it's an incredibly kind, wonderful thing that you've created, and thank you so much for doing that.
Oh, thank you. You've just made me so humbled and honoured and excited when you're trying to push for something to like this to grow. And when I have an opportunity like this, it just really spurs me on. So I cannot thank you enough. And the 90s girl in me is very happy I'm in a Daddo presence.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, we're going to be putting every bit of information in our notes. There'll be links to your website, and we'll promote the heck out of it
thank you so much.
when it comes, because it is such a beautiful thing that you're doing. So thank you so much for coming on the bathroom and in the bathroom and telling us all about it.
My pleasure. Anytime.
Well, what a delightful human being Emma is.
You said it. Kind.
Yep.
Kind.
Yeah.
And she's, like she said, you know, it's the cool club that nobody wants to be members of.
That's right.
But what cool people.
Yeah.
What kind cool people taking care of other humans.
And again, it's that experience that, I know we've talked about this a lot and we've said it on the podcast before, when you turn something that is so traumatic and painful to you into, and you flip it and make it something that helps other people through your own pain. And she's done that, you know, to the max with this club.
Yeah. Yeah. It's the platform that she's jumped on. The obstacle becomes the way.
Yeah. Yeah. I really hope this episode helps someone out there who's perhaps in the same position and, you know, caring for someone who's not well. You know, how easy is that just to jump on?
Oh, yeah.
You know, jump
on a Zoom on a Monday night
and just have a bunch of people that understand you to talk to.
Yeah. And if it's in smaller groups, I just love that idea that she's got. When you finish saying those are my words and people repeat back to you, we hear your words.
Yeah.
Just to feel acknowledged like that is a really a beautiful way to go.
Absolutely. Yep. Loved that. All right. That's it for us today. My husband.
My wife.
Thanks so much for listening, and we'll catch you on the next one.
Yeah. Wherever you are listening, if you're walking in the car, take good care.